Hello, and welcome to the In-Depth Genealogist series on Meet Our Writers. Today, we are here with Jim Ryan, who writes our column called The Emerald Isle. Thanks, Jim, for joining us today.
Delighted to do so, Shannon.
Great. Could you tell the audience a little bit about yourself? It would help us to understand who you are and what you write about and what other things you do.
Okay, I'm based in Dublin, Ireland. I won't say what age I am, but I'm just about to launch into grandparenthood. Dreams this year, believe it or not. I'm by background, I'm actually a biologist, but I got into genealogy through my great who compiled a genealogy of the family, and I got interested in following it up and validating it, and I've been hooked ever since. So,
I understand that. I'm glad to be able to talk to a fellow biologist. I have a degree in biology too.
there we go. I always say to people that I think it's not so much the biology, but the background in research principles and research methods that I think is very valuable in genealogy.
Yes, I completely agree with that statement. That is very true. It that having that scientific background is makes being a detective for my family a little easier.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So you write our Emerald Isle column, which hopefully our audience can deduce that that means you're writing about Ireland. What exactly do you talk about in your column?
Well, so far I've been mainly talking about sources, one or two little side passages into personal experiences and suggestions and so on. But mainly, it's I like to talk about particular types of sources. I think Ireland is kind of unusual in that we have a very poor record base for good historical reasons. So therefore, every small source is potentially of great value, much more so I think than a lot of other countries. So therefore, knowing a lot of small sources can be very valuable to the researcher.
Right.
And that's why I try and introduce these like micro sources and make people aware that they exist.
And with the Irish population being scattered across the world, I know we have readers from not only the US and Canada, but even Australia that read your column and find it very informative and interesting. So you're
Good.
helping people.
Delighted to hear that. Yeah.
I have Irish ancestry myself, and they are some of my biggest brick walls.
Yes. We
Eh,
hear that a lot.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It really doesn't help when a lot of the records here that I have found in the States, all it says is, place of birth, Ireland. Well, it's a,
Yeah.
that's a big island.
Yeah. It is. Yeah. But you can from the name. I mean,
Hmm.
as in a lot of countries in Europe, names tended to be very regionally focused. So if you have a name of somebody, that'll give you a little bit of a lead into it, and particularly if it's a couple. So if you have if you have two married couple who came to the U.S. and you have two names,
Hmm.
that gives you a second point of identification, which can narrow it down even further. And we do have reasonably good land records, particularly at the time of the major emigration, which is the 1840s and so on.
Hmm.
So that is a very what's called a graphication, which is a classic source, and that is used for that purpose. And
Mm.
another thing that's becoming more and more popular, of course, is genetic
Hmm.
ID. And I recently had one done for myself, even though I know my family roots go back to Wexford. And the family story was that originally an ancestor back in the late 1700s came from Carlow. So I had the genetic test done and a further analysis of what it showed by a company called Irish Origins, led by Tyrone Bowes,
Hmm.
and he validated the family story. He was able to pinpoint the family origins to a place in South Carlow, which was very useful. So
Wow.
that's something that people should consider if they are hitting a brick wall, particularly in what's called the kind of the transatlantic brick wall. How do I find out? How do I get past the Ireland bit?
Yeah, I've actually done genetic testing on not only myself but my husband and some other family members, just so I have a nice
Mm,
wide pool. And I'm still hoping for that breakthrough. So I know it's out there. Someday, somebody will
yeah,
test to help me figure out
yeah.
where my grandmother's grandparents came from.
Well, in the Irish origins technique is quite interesting because it uses it's not you know, it isn't it takes the results from the test and then applies some geography to it. In other words, what he does is he kind of finds other markers from other families and says, well, which of those do you share, and where do the families that share those markers originate? And that's how he came to place me in County Carlow. So it's
Wow.
something that people might like to consider.
Yeah, something definitely people should look into. Now, you talked about the Griffiths evaluation. Do you have any other record sets that you find are useful for Irish research that you think people should definitely check out?
Um, well, yeah, I mean, we've quite a lot. We've come from a situation when I started genealogy about 25 odd years ago,
Mm.
where there was almost nothing was available unless you kind of really did a lot of work on it, to a position where now we have a huge amount of stuff which is available freely online, and the National Library are planning now to make all of the church record microfilms also available freely online. That's
Oh,
how going to happen
wow.
this summer. So, you know, there's a whole lot of material that's available online for free. The
Mhm.
1901 census, 1911 census, as I said before, the Griffiths valuation. There's a company called FindMyPast.ie that has a whole lot of
Mhm.
other smaller sources and other big sources available for access by anybody who wants to pay. It's a subscription site, so I don't recall offhand what it is,
Mhm.
but it's not expensive. The source that I'm kind of interested in expanding the range of sources. The one at the moment that I'm quite interested in is rentals.
Oh.
Rentals where, obviously, where most people in Ireland rented their land for. I mean, we haven't got time to go into the historical reasons, but effectively, Catholics couldn't own land to
Mhm.
all intents and purposes. They certainly couldn't buy land, so therefore they rented land, and they were rented. The land that was owned by big landlords, some of whom kept records, at least some. Presumably they all kept records. Some of the records have actually survived, and they are a very powerful source, particularly just to locate a person within a particular area.
Right.
They're almost very few of them are online, but they are available in the National Library and the National Archives and various other sources. And I've kind of become very interested in those in recent times. So my interest is coming through here because I'm citing them as the source of comes to mind when you ask me that question.
What you're saying is we should make a trip to Ireland.
Yeah, yeah. That's. I suppose if you're interested in rentals, you'd have to make a trip to Ireland at the moment. You know, no doubt,
Right.
data analytics and other techniques will catch up on it eventually, and people will start putting those on into some sort of available format. But at the moment, that's what you'd have to do.
I'm good with that. I'm good with taking a vacation.
Okay, well, I'd love to show you some of these sources if you do come across.
I will keep that in mind. Well, our time is almost up. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to meet with us today and let the readers get a little bit more information about what you do, who you are, and what your column is about.
Okay, thank you. Delighted to talk to you.
You're welcome. And we invite you all to please join us at our website, www.theinDepthGenealogist.com, where you can read more from Jim as well as all of our other writers. Until next time, have a good day.